for today's practice, step onto your mat and bring yourself into Siddhasana, about the mid-back of the mat. You're bringing one foot in front of the other, one ankle in front of the other. Find where you can release your knees and you can feel that you're sitting more on your sits bones than on your tailbone. You might need to use your hands on your knees to draw yourself up a little bit to feel that curve, that lordosis in your low back. And then bring your non-dominant hand into Gyan Mudra. So you're connecting the first finger and the thumb together in a circle and lengthening the other three fingers out. We're going to work with alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana. So bring your dominant hand, whichever hand you want to work with, up to your face and connect the first two fingers of that hand to the point between your eyebrows. So not so much the middle of your forehead, but more between your eyebrows. And use that connection of your fingers to your forehead between your brows to press your head slightly back and up and feel how that lifts your sternum. We're going to start just with an easy alternate nostril breathing. So if you close off your right nostril and breathe out through your left nostril, and then breathe in through that same side, and then close that side and breathe out through the right. And breathe in through the right. So you're breathing out and then in through each side before switching sides. Keeping the pressure of your thumb and your ring or little finger against the sides of your nostrils light. So you're not pushing your nose across your face. And allowing the elbow and shoulder of that arm that's up at your face to soften down. Almost as though your arm is hanging from your fingertips that are connected to your forehead. Feeling that you're supported underneath by your waist more than by your shoulders or your jaw. And as you find this rhythm here, notice your nostrils, if one side is more open than the other, or which side is more open. They change dominancy every couple of hours. So notice which side you can breathe more easily through. And take any time you need to clear your nose so that you can breathe. Taking your gaze internally towards your fingertips as though you're looking at the fingerprints on your fingertips, right there between your brows. And we're going to begin to add in a ratio to the breathing. I'll give you some numbers, but play with them. Don't feel that they need to be hard and fast numbers to work with. So this next time that you exhale, see if you can pace the breath out of the body to the count of 10. Or as close as you can get without strain. And then that same side, inhale as close as you can to the count of 5. So the inhale needs to be a bit more dynamic. Once you've inhaled fully, then suspend the breath. So kumbhaka. Suspend the breath to as close to 20 beats as you can. Again, without struggle, without strain. So just notice where you get to. And then switch sides when you're ready to exhale. Exhaling out for about 10 counts. Inhaling in for about 5, and then suspending the in-breath for about 20. When you breathe in, you can feel the rib cage expand. See if you can keep that as you suspend the breath in. Keep the length of your spine, the expansion of your rib cage. And then see if you can keep that as well when you exhale. Noticing any tightening that happens through this precision or through suspending the breath. So keeping your jaw, your face spacious. You're exhaling 10, inhaling 5, suspending for 20, and then switching sides. Just a couple more breaths here. Noticing as you stay with it if your capacity to meet those gauges, those numbers, increases or becomes easier. This next time that you exhale through the left side, let that be the last round. Let that finish this Nadi Shodhana. And bring your resting hand up to meet the hand that's at your face, bringing your palms together in Atmanjali Mudra, with your thumb tips now touching that same point between your brows that your fingertips were touching. Your fingertips pointing up towards the sky, let your elbows and your shoulders drop down. And breathing here as though you're breathing through this third eye point. So imagine that the stream of the breath is now coming in through that point between your brows and out through that point. And notice as you look here and you breathe here if there's any color or light. We're working here with vision, but the vision that sees in the dark. And to be able to see in the dark, we must first excel at seeing clearly what's right in front of us in broad daylight. Or as Marcel Proust has written, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in seeing with new eyes. And noticing what you see here in the dark, in your body, in yourself, as you prepare to tune in. See if you can keep your eyes closed as you bring your hands down to your heart for the Adi mantra. Breathing in for the first of 3. As you inhale, press your hands out in front and open your eyes slowly and see your hands in front of you. And then as you exhale, make fists and pull your fists under, checking to see that your elbow points are facing the side edges of the mat so they're not locked. Keeping your arms long and lifted parallel to the ground. Inhale, pull your fingers back like you're pushing something away. Reach through the heels of your hands. And then exhale, pull your fists under and reach through the top side of your wrists. So we're going to move through a joint freeing series for the joints in the arms. Use your eyes through this series to see what's happening, and then once you have a sense of what's happening, try closing your eyes for 1 or 2 of each of the exercises so that you can see internally what's happening with these joints. Not just in the wrists where you're focused now, but notice how that radiates up into the elbows and the shoulders. And taking one more here, inhaling, pulling back. Elbow points facing the side, shoulders broad, holding yourself up with your waist. Exhale, pull your fists under. This next time as you inhale, circle your fists, keeping your forearms relatively steady. So again, you may need to open your eyes if they're closed. Look to see that your fists are doing the same thing, left to right. Can you get them to mirror each other and articulate primarily at the wrists, but notice how that radiates up into the forearms? And this next time that you exhale, change the direction and see if that feels or looks any different when you go the other way. In order to work with arm strength, arm balancing, we're preparing the wings, preparing all the joints in the arms. So this little series here of holding your arms out in space, if this is challenging, then spend more time with these simple exercises before you move on. This next time that you inhale, turn your palms to face up towards the sky. This is a really good one to practice or play with if you bring your hands under a bench top or a countertop so that you can feel how your fingertips, the base of your fingers, the heels of your hands are all in the same plane. But see if you can see that by looking at them now. And then take your hands out to the sides as you inhale, and then back in towards center as you exhale. So you'll see inner and outer wrists shrinking. And notice how when you do this, the heels of your hands want to flip up out of that parallel line, that parallel level with the floor. So see if you can keep the heels of your hands level with your fingertips and only go to the point that you move side to side. This is the action that we're going to need later on in crow. How to rotate the forearms out without moving the palms of the hands from the ground. Breathing. If your arms are tired, bend your elbows. Otherwise, if you're feeling strong, keep your arms long and lifted, level with your shoulders when your shoulders are broad on your back. If you haven't already lengthened your arms, lengthen them now, bringing them up level with your shoulders. Hold yourself up from your waist. And then we're going to focus into the elbows. So as you exhale, bring your fingertips or your palms to your shoulders. Elbows are level with your shoulders. So your upper arms are parallel to the floor. And then exhale and close your hands to your shoulders. But see if you can do this not from your hands moving to your shoulders, but from your biceps contracting. And then as you inhale and you open out, think of your elbow points pulling back towards your underarms so you contract your triceps. See if you can isolate these muscles. If you get to the point of feeling them shaking, great, you've got it. So see if you can isolate and focus on those muscles and take it really slow, as though you're moving through some element denser than air. You can feel the molecules of space that you're moving through. So contracting your biceps on the exhale. And then as you come in this next exhale, open your elbows out and look to see that your elbows are level with your shoulders when your shoulders are broad on your back, and either your fingertips on your shoulders or on the back of your head if they don't reach. And then see if you can pull your elbows back without dropping them down as you inhale. And then pull your elbows towards each other in front of you as you exhale. Really simple movement, but instead of leading from your elbows, see if you can lead from the muscles of your upper back contracting in, inner shoulder blades moving towards your spine as you inhale, and then your upper chest muscles, your pectoral muscles moving towards each other as you exhale. So it's the upper chest and upper back that are moving the elbows. See if you can feel that. Jaw relaxed. Shoulders broad. Use your fingertips to remind your shoulders to stay down. Notice when you take your elbows back on the inhale, how the elbows tend to want to drop and the low ribs tend to want to stick out. So use your core muscles to tuck your low ribs in so you isolate in the shoulders. Otherwise, it's getting lost in the mid-back. This next time that you open out, bring your elbows level with your shoulders and bring your hands out above your elbows. So you're making right angles with your upper arms. If you did the last practice, we did this lying on the floor to strengthen the neck. We're going to do it here to explore the shoulder range of motion. So wrists are long, shoulders are broad, and then see if you can tilt your forearms back so you're pivoting at your elbows. Don't force this. And then fold forward from your elbows. It's almost like you're a little marionette. Your elbows are hanging from strings. Inhale as you lift up, maybe tilt back. Feel how the bottom tips of your shoulder blades tuck in towards your upper ribs. And then as you exhale, fold forward. Feel how your shoulders roll up a little bit. And you're going to feel this right across the top of your shoulders. So keep breathing. Breathe long and deep to feed those muscles in your shoulders. And check out what's happening. Notice if your wrists are wanting to break to force you to go farther. See if you can keep the wrists long and find the action from the shoulder joints. Inhaling to lift up, maybe tilt back. Is it same left to right? If you haven't already looked, look to see what's happening with your elbows. One of them is likely to want to go lower than the other. See if you can bring them up level with your shoulders. Try seeing it from the inside. Closing your eyes and seeing the muscles, the movements, the bones, seeing the breath fueling the action. Next time that you inhale, lift your arms up, turn your palms to face each other, slide your shoulders down. This is another one to tuck your low ribs in so that you can focus in the shoulders. When you find your elbows and fingers long, see if you can open your arms back without your ribs sticking out. Exhale and come down in front and up and back. So taking your arms towards each other behind you. Inhale, lift up, palms facing each other, opening back, tuck your low ribs in, keep your head level. So when your arms come down, look straight ahead. Your head's going to want to drop down. Keep your chin lifted, chest lifted. Inhale, lift up, maybe back. See what your shoulders will do without your low ribs sticking out. And then exhale, come around your legs, up and back, and draw your palms, your inner elbows, your shoulder blades towards each other behind you and lifting up without dropping your head or your chest down. So again, you're focusing the action in the shoulder joints. If you haven't done one of these with your eyes closed, try that. See if you can see it from the inside. This is the last one. So as you bring your arms down behind you, turn your fingertips to face your body and take your legs out in front of you. You've been sitting for a while, so stretch out through your heels. You might need to shake them out. And then spread your fingers out wide from each other. Roll down from the tips of your fingers towards the base of your fingers, so you stretch at that point where the fingers connect to the palms. Once you get a good stretch, a good breath in there, then plant your palms, push the ground away, and lift up into upward facing plank. Check that you're in a good place, shoulders over your palms. If this doesn't work for you, do upward facing table instead. When you sit down on the exhale, draw your toes back and sit up tall. So not folding forward, but lengthening up, keeping your upper body open, your front body open. And then once you get a sense of the dynamics of this, start to move quickly. If you have any issues with your wrists or your shoulders, turn your fingers out or back so you're adjusting for what you need. Inhale to lift up, stretch your toes towards the ground, open your ankles. Exhale to sit up, draw your toes back, again opening your ankles. So you're moving from a right angle at your pelvis when you sit up tall to drawing your low belly in and up and stretching your tailbone towards your toes towards the floor as you lift up on your inhale. Upward facing plank. We're going to play with a number of variations of plank throughout this season. Inhale to come up, exhale to sit up. Feel free to try this with your eyes closed once you have a sense of your positioning. Find the strong breath through your nose. So if you're moving more dynamically, the breath is also moving dynamically. It's fueling, it's your engine. So find the breath in and out through the nose. This might sound even a little bit more like breath of fire than long, deep breathing. This next time that you lift up, hold yourself up. If you need to adjust to up table, walk your feet underneath your knees, push the ground away, shift into long, deep breathing, and lengthen your tailbone towards your feet, your toes towards the floor. Push the ground away. See if you can lift your chest up, your rib cage up away from your arms instead of sinking into your shoulders. Feel free to release your head if that feels good for your neck. This next time that you exhale, release down, come into your counter stretch. Flip your hands so the backs of your hands are on the ground alongside your legs and press through the backs of your hands. Find where the backs of your hands all the way up to your wrists are on the ground, so you're opening the backs of your wrists. And then with that pressure down, see if you can curve back and open along your spine, right up between your shoulder blades. To add the backs of your legs into this, that worked hard in that upward facing plank movement, reach your heels away, draw your toes back, and find a stretch from your big toes all the way up to the base of your skull. And breathing, long, deep breathing. So you're shifting from that dynamic, heating movement to slowing it down, regaining your control over the breath, integrating the energy that you just stirred up. This next time that you inhale, uncurl, gather up your legs, cross your feet almost as though you're going to sit cross-legged, but be on the side edges of your feet. So your knees are up off the ground, and you might need to walk your feet away from you so you can be up on your sits bones. Use your hands on your knees to draw your torso up, your sternum up, and if you need to, walk your feet farther out. Once you have your foundation set, bring your hands into Atmanjali Mudra, prayer position at your heart. And then inhale and lift both knees and one arm up, palm facing up towards the sky, and double check your shoulder is broad on your back, your elbow is long. And then come down to center and clap, and then inhale up the other side, double check where you are. Once you can see what's happening, so you might need to look a few times to see that your palm is up, you're rolling and opening your thumb back towards the space behind you, and your elbow is long but not locked, your shoulders are broad. Then bring your head to center, keep it centered, and inhale both knees, one arm up, exhale, come back down to center with a clap. This exercise is helping to bring the two hemispheres of the brain together, to bridge them, to coordinate them. So if you have any trouble with the coordination, keep your eyes open and follow me. So stay with my rhythm and the coordination for as long as you need to until it starts to become more automatic. And then when you can, close your eyes. Find that strong breath through the nose. Complete breath in, complete breath out. Just a little bit farther with this foot in front, and then this next time that you come back to center, see if you can quickly switch the front foot. So you're going to bring the other foot in front and then carry on. Inhale up, exhale down. Lifting up from your sits bones, up through your waist and into the knees and into the arms, but shoulders staying broad on your back. Noticing your low back. As you lift the knees up, you tend to roll back onto your tailbone, low back round. So really strong core to lift up. We don't have any specific abdominal strengthening exercises in this season, but we're working from the core with pretty much everything. So see if you can feel that here, that you're radiating through the legs, through the arm, from your core strength, instead of your neck or jaw strength. Just a little bit farther. Noticing the heat building up in the hips and the thighs, so strong breath to support those muscles. Last two, one on each side, and then as you come back to center, inhale both arms up, pause, suspend the breath, grow a little bit taller, reintegrate your shoulders if they came up, engage Mula Bandha if that's right for you, so squeezing anus, sex organ, navel in and up, eyes at third eye point. And then when you need to exhale, release your arms out and down. Lean back into your hands and take your legs out so that your feet are at the edges of the mat, your knees are pointing up to the sky, and just pause for a moment. Deepen your breathing. Take that in. Notice where you are. Feel free to have your eyes closed for a breath or so here. And then drop your knees down to the left so that your right knee is in the arch of your left foot. And then lift and lower your knees over to the other side. So now you have your left knee in your right arch, left foot parallel to the side edge of the mat. Double check that this will work for your knee joints if you have any issues there. And then roll side to side. So if you need to adjust at all for your knees, you might have your feet in less of a right angle, a little bit of softer angle in the feet. Just rolling side to side a few times. And then the next time that you're over on the left side, your right shin parallel to the front, right foot parallel to the side if possible. Then bring your right hand onto your right hip and move your right hip forward and back. Take your front hip bone towards your left knee and then your right butt cheek towards the floor. And double check again your right knee, especially your inner knee, is safe here. So if you need to, soften your foot and pull it towards your right butt cheek until you feel that works for your knee. And then bring your right hand onto your left knee. Now that you have your right knee safe, stabilize your left knee and keep moving your right hip forward and back. And notice the relationship between this right hip and your left knee. There's a tug zone where when you move your right hip, the left knee wants to lift up off the ground. See if you can stabilize it with your right hand and open that gap between the two, between the hip and the knee. You're going to take this action that's starting in the hip and roll it up the spine into the arm. So next time you inhale, lift your right arm up and out, push the ground away with your left hand and open across your chest. Spread your wings out and then lead from your hip and spiral around and bring your right hand between your left hand and your body and reach through and find a stretch across your upper back. Take this really slowly, slow breath so that you can feel by the time you have that distance between your hands across your chest, you've fully inhaled. And by the time you get that stretch in your upper back, you've fully exhaled. And this is a really good one to close your eyes once you know where you need to be and what you're doing, and to imagine that you're moving through something denser than air, like you're pushing the molecules of space out of your way and finding one steady motion. Listen to your breathing. Even though the action seems to be in the arms, see if you can feel it leading from the hip. This next time that you come up on your inhale, push the ground away with your left hand. Notice if you sank into that hand. Feel free to be up on the palm of your hand or the fingertips. Drop both hips down, both shoulders down, release your head to the left and stretch your right fingers towards your right shin, towards the front edge of the mat, keeping your wrist long and your breath long as you move your breath all the way up into the right side of your neck. This next time that you exhale, just pull your fingers back and notice when you reach through the heel of that right hand, how the right elbow wants to lock. See if you can reach through the heel of the hand and yet keep the elbow somewhat soft, not locked, but not bent. Notice the change in your shoulder when you change your hand. And this next time that you exhale, change your hand again by making a fist and pulling it under, stretching the top side of your wrist. What is that change in the sensation in your shoulder? And as you breathe up into your shoulder and into your neck, adjust your head slightly, shift your head down, your nose or your chin dropping down towards that left shoulder. And if that shoulder is riding up towards your neck, push the ground away with your left hand so you're not sinking into your hand. Feel that shoulder integrate to your back. This sense of integrity of integration is key to what we're doing in this practice. And this last change with your hand, uncurl your fist, turn your right palm up, and notice how that changes your shoulder. Make sure you can breathe into that change. You might need to change the angle of your head. And then if you want to take that deeper, you can bend your right elbow in towards your ribs. Notice what that does to your shoulder joint, to the stretch there in your neck. And if you want to go deeper still, you can pull your right thumb back like you're hitchhiking. So you feel your shoulder blade flatten onto your back ribs a little bit more. Push the ground away. And this next time that you exhale, let your head roll down along your collarbones, push the ground away, bring your right hand behind you, and come up to center for a second with your knees bent. And notice the two sides of your neck and your hips. Notice any difference left to right. And then release side to side a few times. Checking that your knees drop into the arches of your feet. So you're rolling through your feet, through your butt, as opposed to inchworming forward. And then once you're over on this right side, I'm going to do that same sequence on the left hip. So rolling your left hip forward and back. So you're rolling your front hip bone towards your right knee and then your butt cheek towards the ground. Adjust your left foot if you need to, if that doesn't work for your knee. And then once you have safety in your left knee, stabilize your right knee. Find out that relationship between left hip and right knee. As you continue to move your left hip, notice the place where the right knee wants to follow it and see if you can widen that gap. Next time you inhale, add your wings in, lift up and out, push the ground away with your right hand so you're not sinking, find space in your shoulder joints, exhale and spiral around, leading from your left hip up through your waist, twisting into your upper back. Inhale and open out, and exhale and spiral around. When you come around to the back, you might play with pushing the ground away with your right hand. See if that gives you a little bit more space through your back. or bending your right elbow, or releasing your head. Have a bit of play here. One of our key words in this practice is intuition. So noticing what you see and what you feel and following what feels good, what feels like it's going to create more space or strength. Moving through space slowly, like you're carving out space. Inhaling and opening, exhaling and folding. This next time that you come up, we're going to focus on the neck. So as you inhale and lift up, stretch your left hand towards your left shin, towards the front edge of the mat. Push the ground away with your right hand. Take weight out of your wrist. Plant the base of the fingers. Drop your hips and your shoulders and release your head towards your right shoulder. Find the angle that you can let it go and you can still breathe fully up into the open left side of your neck. Keeping your left wrist long for another breath. And this next time that you inhale, pull your palm back. So it's as though you're pushing something away, reaching through the heel of your hand. Notice how that radiates up into your elbow, how your elbow wants to roll under towards your hip. See if you can soften it back towards the space behind you instead. And what does that do to the stretch in your neck? Breathing up into that. One more breath there, and as you exhale, make a fist with your left hand and pull it under towards your left hip, stretching through the top of your wrist. And then if you haven't already rolled your nose or your chin towards your right shoulder, change the angle of your head, find a slightly different stretch on that side of your neck. And play here with each time you inhale, lifting the breath up into the open side of your neck, and each time you exhale, pushing the ground away with your right hand, feeling that right shoulder integrated onto your back. Last change in your left hand. As you inhale, uncurl your fist, turn your palm up, so now your left elbow rolls under towards your hip. If you want, you can bend it towards your ribs. Feel your shoulder blade broad onto your back. Check that you can breathe steadily, jaw relaxed. If you want to go deeper, start pulling your left thumb back towards the space behind you. Giving that one more deep breath that rises all the way up into your neck. And as you exhale, let your head roll down and bring yourself back to center and ease side to side. Noticing again any differences or any different awarenesses in your hips and your shoulders and your neck. And then bringing yourself back to center and up onto your feet. We're going to come into squat. Taking a wide stance so your toes are at the edges of the mat. Find where you're grounded first. If you can take a slightly narrower stance with your heels more under your butt cheeks, great, but find where your heels are closer to the ground. So get that groundedness and then rise out of that. So as you sink your heels down, your tailbone down, lift up through your waist, broaden your shoulders onto your back. You may need to leverage a little bit with your arms inside your legs to bring your shoulders onto your back. So from your squat, bend your elbows, point them out towards the sides. This is what we were preparing for earlier. See if you can keep your palms flat, elbows out, so you're bracketing your arms. And then hug your knees in towards your upper arms. So you may even have to lift your heels up, lift your butt up a little bit, walk your knees up towards your upper arms a little higher, and then press your inner thighs, inner knees in towards your arms, press back with your arms so that you have a tight union between arms and legs. And then notice how the knees pulling in tends to want to scrunch the shoulders up towards the neck. So push the ground away with the palms of your hands, broaden your shoulders onto your back, and look forward, look up. So you have everything set up here. All you need to do then is tilt forward onto your hands, but look up. Where your eyes goes, where your mind goes is where your energy goes, and where your weight of your head goes is where your body goes. So look up. Bringing your weight back onto your feet and shifting yourself into child pose. We're going to open the wrists out. Plant the backs of your hands onto the ground. Stretch through the tops of your wrists. As you release your head closer to the ground, bring your hands alongside you and reach back through the base of your fingers, opening there. Once you have a good stretch through the base of your fingers, then release your arms. Let your shoulders drop down. You can let them disintegrate off your back now in child pose. This next time that you inhale, let that in-breath bring you up and come into a narrower squat. So if your heels don't touch the ground when you're in a wider squat, this narrower squat, you're probably going to have the same situation. And you may need to lean forward so you don't do a backwards roll. Find your balance. You can also try holding onto the mat. This is a really good posture to prepare for crow. So see if you can find a little bit more opening in your calves and your Achilles. Feet a little narrower, starting to find perhaps where they're in line with your sits bones and parallel to each other. Aligning your knees over your feet. Then bring your hands to the ground, stretching out through your fingers before you bring your palms down, bringing your hands close enough to each other that you feel stable and also close enough to your feet that you can then wedge your knees right up into the upper backs of your arms. It's almost as though you're wrapping your underarms over your kneecaps. Press the ground away with your hands, broaden your shoulders onto your back, look ahead, and start to tilt weight forward into your hands, keeping the lift of your belly and the lift of your feet even if they're on the ground. Keeping the lift of your head as well. Bring yourself back onto your feet. If you've shifted your weight into your hands, find where your feet are parallel. We're going to move into standing spinal flex. So as you find where your feet are parallel, lift your toes, lift your kneecaps, bring your hands up onto your legs, where when you lift your torso up and you lengthen out, your low back is long, your sits bones are lifted. So wherever your hands need to be for that, feel free to check your low back. And then as you exhale, lengthen and release your low back, but without releasing your quadriceps or your toes. So your legs are lifted and long. From that length through your legs and through your spine, bring your right fingertips to the ground or to a block and shift your weight into your right foot. Bring your left hand onto your left thigh and feel that leg lift up as you inhale, and bring your left hand then up to your left front hip bone and feel how when you start to open that hip to face off the left side of the mat, you can feel that with your fingertips, but feel in your right leg how your right knee wants to follow. So stabilize the right knee, lift the thigh muscle, the quadricep up, keep your inner arch lifted up, but then open the left hip, the thigh, the toes to face off the left side of the mat, and keep your left hand here on your hip as long as you need to. So don't feel that you need to take your arm up right away. Find what's happening underneath first. Anchor down through your right heel so that then you can lift and lengthen up through your legs and have less weight in your right hand. If you've taken your left arm up, as you exhale, next bring your left leg and your arm back down and come into standing tuck. Check that your feet are parallel under your front hips. Wrap your hands and your elbows behind your calves and bend your knees deeply enough that your knees connect to your chest. So don't worry about how much you lengthen up. Start first really tucked in, so your breath has to go into your back, and then start lifting your sits bones up, noticing that place where you want to separate. Use your arm strength to help keep you integrated. Find your shoulders on your back. And then we're going to play with that high crow again. So you just were in a tucked pose. You're going to take that tucked pose and bring it off the ground. So bring your hands a little bit forward. They're not quite as wide as they would be for down dog. And then open your knees out, bring them to the upper backs of your arms. and reconnect yourself into that little tucked posture. Look ahead, lift your head up, broaden your shoulders onto your back, and then shift weight into your hands. Even if it means your feet do not leave the ground, just play with taking some weight into your hands. You can do it step by step, day by day. And then bring your weight back onto your feet, coming back into standing spinal flex. So finding the lift from your toes through your arches, right up through your thighs and your sits bones, and then out through the length of your spine, hands wherever they need to be when your low back has its integrity. It's curving towards the floor as you inhale. And we're going to play with opening into that balancing posture on this left side. So next time you inhale and lift up, keep your right hand on your right thigh. Bring your left fingertips to the floor to a block. Shift your weight to your left foot, keeping your left kneecap aligned over your toes as you start to open your right leg up. Use your right hand almost like you're going to help lift that right leg up. Feel how the hip is opening and how it wants to tug the left knee into the midline. Strong outer and upper left thigh. Reach through the ball of your right foot, stretch it away from your head so you can feel a long line. And then if you do take your right hand up, you don't need to, but if you do, see if you can lift that hand up, lift some weight out of your left hand and find long line between the fingertips, a little bit more space within the shoulder joints. Give it one more in-breath and see if you can fly up, open out. And then use your exhale to release your right hand down and to step your feet back, coming into modified down dog. So modified by doing that same tucking action that you were doing in tuck pose and also in the high crow. Lift your heels, bend your knees, move your rib cage towards your thighs and tilt your tailbone up towards the sky. And then start to open your shoulders towards your feet, keeping your ears between your arms, your shoulders on your back. Use your belly lifting up to tilt your tail up and your front thighs drawing back to pull weight out of your hands as you start to deepen this, open this into a fuller down dog. And finding the length through the legs. One more inhale, and as you exhale, lift your hips up, curve your back like you would for cat pose, and come forward into plank, push-up position. And push up, push the ground away with your hands so you're not sinking into your shoulders. Lift your belly and your front thighs from underneath so you're a plank, not a sway bridge. And then coming back on your next exhale, lift up from your belly and draw back from your thighs. So the movement is coming from that apex at your center instead of from your shoulders. And rounding forward on your next exhale into plank again. Inhale, inhabit it, long line from your heels to your head. Exhale, curve up and back through modified down dog into a deeper down dog. And then this next time that you round forward on your exhale, if it works for you, come all the way into upward facing dog. So keep that same awareness of lifting through your belly, through your thighs that you had in plank. If your knees are on the ground, stay in plank and strengthen there instead of losing the integrity and trying to do upward facing dog when you're not quite ready yet. Keep your shoulders broad on your back, low back long and strong. And this next time that you exhale, come back. If you need a little more support, you can bring your knees down in that transition back into down dog. But see if you can keep your knees off the ground when you're in up dog. So you're pushing the ground away with your hands, lifting belly and thighs. Even though they get closer to the ground, keep them lifted away from the ground. Taking another couple breaths here, rolling between. So you inhale into the posture. Exhale to transition between the postures. This next time that you're coming forward, instead of coming into upward facing dog, come into plank pose. Find that long line, that sense of being a plank of wood from your heels to your head. Really long, strong line. See that in your mind's eye and see if you can keep it as you roll to the outer edge of your right foot and stack your left foot on top. Push the ground away with your right hand, reach up with your left hand, and feel again that plankness from your heels right out through the top of your head. Low belly drawn in and up. Aim your tail towards your heels. If you need to modify this, then do the modified version. Next exhale, come back to center, into down dog, and then into plank, center plank. Find where you're a long line, long, strong line, and see if you can keep it as you roll to the outer edge of your left foot. Side plank, Vasisthasana. Pushing the ground away with your left hand, reach up with your right hand, and lengthen from your head through your heels. Give that one more inhale to fly up away from the ground. And then as you exhale, come back down to the ground with your right hand, coming onto your toes. And coming up and back into your down dog. Double check where your foundation is in your hands and your feet. And as you find the tilt of your tail up, start to find the lengthening through your legs that doesn't disturb your low back or your shoulders. Visualize those long lines from your hands to your hips, from your hips to your heels. And then if you feel you want to play with turbo dog, keep the lift of your hips and bend your elbows and roll them in. Look to see that your elbows are in line with the center of your wrists, so they're not splaying out to the sides. Forearms are coming parallel to each other. In order to keep from sinking into your shoulders, draw back powerfully through your front thighs and up through your belly, so you minimize weight in your shoulders. Release your way into child, pressing back, letting the weight of your head rest down, your body drop down. Taking a moment here to integrate the intensity of what you've just done, of holding yourself up off the ground, and some of those arms strengthening and balancing postures. Next time that you inhale, bring yourself up to kneeling or adjust your seat if kneeling doesn't work for your body. And we're going to play with letting go through action, through a punching action. Bring your fists back by your ribs, pulling your elbows back behind you, and then extend one arm out long in front, one fist out in front, and double check that your fist is right between your knees. So you're coming into the center line, into the middle. And then pull it back and switch sides. Inhale as you punch out and exhale as you pull back. So this ends up being breath of fire. If you need to slow down, do that so that you feel that you're confident with your breathing. So you're inhaling forward, exhaling, pulling back. Finding your gaze initially right out at center. Look at your target, see where you're punching, and see if you can see that you're punching the same point every single time. Inhale and exhale dynamically as you punch out and pull back. Pull back with your elbows so that you're twisting the torso, you're twisting the rib cage, keeping your head centered, shoulders broad, low back long because you're twisting, so give yourself lots of space for those vertebrae. Strong breath through your nose, but jaw relaxed. Once you've seen that you're punching the same point and you're really extending out, you're not pulling any punches, you're You're punching out strongly as though you mean it. Once you've seen that you're punching the same point, then close your eyes and see if you can continue to see that you're punching that same point. And this is an opportunity to be healthfully angry, to release any intensity that you've been holding in. Punch it out. And if you feel that you can pick up the pace, great, but make sure the breath is supporting that. Find your pace that feels dynamic and safe for you. So if you're not sure, slow it down. You can always pick it up next time. If you get tired and you want to stop, try punching a little harder instead. Try going a little bit harder with the action, a little bit stronger with the breath, with your intention, visualizing yourself punching through your limitations. Pull your elbows back, inhale, take a big breath in, pause, suspend the breath, elbows pulled way back, suspend the breath, stay with it, engage Mula Bandha if that's right for you, take your gaze towards your third eye point between your brows, and then when you feel you need to let go, release, and shake your hands out. And then once you've had a good shake through your hands, sit still and tall. If you're feeling your legs, see if you can sit still just for another few breaths so that you can integrate. Notice the heat, the energy. Let your breath happen. No effort. See internally what you've just done. What's the effect? We have two more postures, exercises, kneeling. If you have any trouble with kneeling, sit on a block between your feet or sit cross-legged instead. This next one benefits from being on your shins, so you have a long, low back. Bring your palms interlaced at the level of your solar plexus. So your thumbs connect to where your ribs start to meet at your center, and your little fingers are near your belly button. Once you find that level, take your hands out away from your body, keeping your elbows rounded, and then inhale at center and exhale and pull one elbow back and let your torso follow that. Inhale, center, exhale, pull the elbow back. Initially, look at your thumb tips and see that your head is going with your thumbs, that you're turning your whole torso side to side. Otherwise, there's a possibility of trying to force this from your head or leaving your head behind. Either way, you create tension in your neck so that your head roll effortlessly side to side with your shoulders and your rib cage and your arms. Once you've seen that, then close your eyes. Keeping your head lifted, sternum lifted, shoulders broad. Inhale, center, exhale, side, and just go as dynamically as you can sustain, as you can maintain that pace, as you feel you can breathe in and out completely. If you are feeling like you're having to be really precise and careful, great, work with that. When you start to feel more confident, see if you can get a little bit crazier, if you can let it swing a bit more without losing your center. without losing the length from your tailbone up through the back of your skull. So it starts to feel a bit like a ride, that it's hard to know whether or not you're leading or the breath and the motion is leading you. These twisting actions help to detoxify the body, help to let go of what we no longer need, particularly in winter as we get cold, fighting these heating actions to release, to let go, to stay healthy. Last little bit, so feel if you can go a little quicker, or if you need to slow down before we slow all the way back to center. Come to center, inhale, perfect your arms, pause, suspend the breath, shoulders broad, eyes focused at your third eye point if you can. If it's right for you, engage Mula Bandha. Stay with that suspension only as long as you're not struggling. And then when you need to, release, let your hands rest on your legs, and be still. After all of that intensity, that movement, that heat, notice as you keep your eyes closed and your attention inside, what's moving, where's the heat? What's the effect of what you've just done? Just minimal energy to sit tall, letting your breath happen. We have one last exercise to balance out this detox process in this practice. So feel free to adjust your legs. If you're able to stay kneeling, great. If you need to sit cross-legged instead, that's also great. And then engage your fingers like you have talons, like those crow talons, and bring your fingertips to your knees or the bottom of your thighs, and use the energy in your hands, fingers engaged, to help draw your sternum up, your shoulders onto your back. So you're creating a back bend here, stimulating kidneys and adrenals with this little back bend. Let your head follow that curve, so your head's in line with the rest of your spine. Head slightly lifted up, but then look down at the tip of your nose and focus your eyes on the tip of your nose with your eyelids almost closed. If that's troublesome for you, you can look at the ground instead. Stretch your tongue out really long towards your chin, and then breath of fire over your extended tongue. So it's like a dog pant. If this pace doesn't work for you, you can do Satali Pranayama instead, if that's what you need today. If you can, find breath of fire pace over your extended tongue. Eyes focused towards your nose, tip of your nose, or towards the ground if that feels more stable for you. Drawing your chest up with the strength of your hands on your legs. Everything that we've just stirred up in this practice, think of expelling it out, releasing it out, letting go of it. This is a deceptively simple exercise. Maintaining that dynamic pace for a couple of minutes is challenging. So if you start to lose steam or if you get panicky, take a couple slow breaths. Stay with slow breathing if you need. Shift to Satali Pranayama if you need. But if you can, maintain that dynamic pace. Strengthen your diaphragm. I'm going to finish this practice with 3 long sounds, like a lion roar. Exhaling, stretching your tongue out, stretching the sound out. You're dredging out from the very depths of your being all of the detritus that's not what you need to keep around. When you finish those, you might have to wipe off the drool on your bottom lip. It may also feel good to round your back. Notice what you feel. What I'm going to ask you to do here is play a little bit. Follow your intuition, cultivating that energy of intuition from this energy center at the third eye point. So you may want to keep your eyes closed. If you want to follow what I'm doing, I'm just playing around. I'm following what I'm feeling. What I would ask you to do, though, is instead of following me, try closing your eyes. Notice what you feel. Let your breath be your gauge. As you move in ways that help you create more balance and space, since we've been kneeling so long, maybe you need to stretch your calves out. What you're doing may not look like a yoga pose. If you're thinking about it too much, I would edge back towards playing, towards exploring, a sense of finding out instead of thinking you know and trying to make it happen. Shift into Ujjayi Pranayama so your breath can tell you where you're safe and what feels right, what you can inhabit. What's been the effect of this practice or of your life? What are you feeling in your body? How can you move to create more space or ease in your body? If you ask yourself, what is it that would balance out all of what you've just done and would enable you to then release into non-doing, into the resting pose that's coming next, and then follow that inclination. Inquire and breathe into what you explore. So instead of shifting quickly from what you're doing into Shavasana, see if you can find your way into it from wherever it is that you are. Finding the length, the space, sense of comfort. And what you may want to do is put an eye pillow or a bit of fabric over your eyes so that you can drop down a little deeper. Connecting your gaze towards that third eye point. Let your breath go, let your body go. As you allow your body to be heavy, you may ironically find that you start to feel lighter. And this is our element here in Ajna Chakra, is light, playing with being light, with flying up by accepting the weight And by grounding down, so see if you can feel when you let go of trying to lift yourself up and you allow yourself to release down, if you feel any lighter in any way. Just notice. I'll read to you a passage called She Let Go. If you're a man, just substitute the word she for he, if that helps you. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons. Wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask for advice from anyone. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all of the memories that held her back. She let go of all of the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all of the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face, a light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. And as you continue to rest here, let your breath go, let your body go. And whatever sense of space or ease or of letting go you've dropped into in that time of being still, perhaps you can sustain some of that without effort as you breathe deeper, as you expand into your torso and stretch down into your legs and your arms. Wiggling your hands and feet, maybe stretching overhead as you're ready, reaching yourself long. And in that length, if you keep your arms up overhead and take your right leg up and across your left leg and find a good long stretch, reaching your right foot away from your right hand. So you find some stretch through your hip and your waist and your ribs and your shoulder. Once you get a good stretch there, release and switch sides. Once you have a good stretch on the left side, come back to center and walk your feet up off the ground and bring the soles of your feet together and rub them together to warm them up and stimulate the nerve endings on the soles of your feet. And then do the same thing with your palms of your hands. It's like little bug paws, warming them up. And then, if it feels good, rock and roll along your back, side to side or along the length, and use that motion to bring yourself up, either from your side or rocking and rolling up. And bring yourself up into a cross-legged posture that works for you. And we're going to repeat that mantra, Loka Samasta Sukhinu Bhavantu. But this time we're going to add the arms into it. So if you bring your palms together at your heart in Atmanjali Mudra and draw your wrists down towards your legs without separating your palms, so you stretch through your wrists. And then lift your arms up, keeping your palms together, stretch up, and then separate and reach out through the heels of your hands in that stop traffic motion. And then turn your palms up and come forward until your little fingers meet. And then draw up, coming into your lotus mudra, and down, bringing your palms together. So that's the cycle of the hands. So now we're going to add the mantra into that. You might want to listen and watch on this first one and join in as you're ready. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. As you finish this round, bring your thumbs to your third eye point. If your eyes are closed, see if you can keep them closed and yet turn your gaze towards your thumb tips. Breathing as though you're breathing in and out through that point between the brows. And that mantra again means, may this world be established with a sense of well-being and happiness. So maybe starting with yourself, what would that look like if your world was established with a sense of well-being and happiness? And breathing into that as you visualize it, as you see it in your mind's eye. And keeping your eyes closed, rub your palms together, create some heat, and then bring your warmed hands over your eyes, letting your eyes melt into that heat and darkness. And then starting to open your eyes into your hands, noticing that change of light, and then opening your fingers and slowly bringing your hands away from your face, noticing how much your eyes do for you in the world. And acknowledging yourself, your light. Namaste.